You ask people my age that question, what does it mean to be an American? Try it. You get a blank stare in response, like a deer in the headlights reaction. That is the vacuum. That is the void. And for a long time, especially in the conservative movement, we have been running from something. Now is our moment to actually start running to something, to our vision of what it means to be a citizen of this nation. What does it mean to be American? To me, it means we believe in the ideals.
Up until 6 months ago, Vivek Ramaswamy was a multi-billionaire biotech entrepreneur who launched a presidential campaign to get rid of what he called the woke left. Today, he's a distant second to Donald Trump in the GOP polls. He stole the show at the first Republican debate and has even hinted at joining Trump as his running mate in next year's elections.
We are hungry for a cause. We are starved for purpose and meaning and identity. At a time in our national history when the things that used to fill our void, faith, patriotism, belief in God, nation, the things we talked about, when those have disappeared, that leaves a moral vacuum in its wake. And I think that that presents our opportunity. I'm not speaking to conservatives, I'm speaking to Americans. That is our opportunity to step up and to fill that void with a vision of what it means to be an American today.
Vivek Ramaswamy is often described as Trump 2.0 or Trump on steroids. And now the former US president and his allies are cheering Ramaswamy on because they believe he can help undercut Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Ramaswamy's support lies in his in-depth approach to political explanations. His narrative has proven capable of articulating political ideas with an unfiltered, fresh perspective. Speeches by the 38-year-old align with the youth that seek to sway away from the conservative political oratory. This difference echoes in the unconventional communication style of Donald Trump that found a resounding support in 2016.
I'm a George Washington, America First conservative. That's what it means. He was the OG of the America First movement. It started in 1776. We live in a 1776 moment today to put America first.
Ramaswamy has echoed many of the policy priorities and political philosophies championed by Trump himself. His focus is on recapturing the American dream from a country which he claims is lost to reverse racism, climatism, COVIDism, and gender ideology.
What's wrong with this woke movement? There's a lot that's wrong with it, but first and most importantly, it creates division in our country. It tells you that if you're an individual, you're just on the tectonic plate of group identity, that you have no agency over your life, whether or not you're a member of an oppressed class or an oppressor group. That's what determines what you can achieve in life and increasingly what you're even allowed to think. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley summed it up when she said, we don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice, that we don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. What does that say? It equates the color of your skin, your race, with the content of ideas that you're allowed to have. That is wrong. It is anti-American, and it is fracturing our country to a breaking point. Here's the other thing it does, is it creates a culture of fear that replaces our culture of free speech. Because again, if your race goes from being about your skin color to being about your ideas, then any disagreement with those ideas automatically makes you a racist. And there is no greater damnation in modern America than to be called a racist.
He has some very strong views on the LGBTQIA+ movement and calls gender dysphoria a mental health disorder.
I'm proud to say that I have signed the Concerned Women for America Legislative Action Committee pledge. It was an easy pledge to sign, and I think a big part of why is that it's founded on truth. There are two sexes, period. And when someone identifies as a gender different from their biological sex, especially a kid, that is indicative of a mental health condition. The compassionate thing to do is not to affirm that confusion. That is not compassion. That is cruelty. It is cruelty to everyone. And I have pledged to actually protect women from this toxic expansion of definitions of gender, to say that women will be able to compete in sports as the law demands, that women will be able to carry out their functions, that the only people who actually are able to give birth to children are by definition women. Our country is founded on the truth. We should not apologize for the truth. That's what it means to be an American. And that's what it meant to me to sign this pledge.
Ramaswamy's political policy plan revolves around putting America first, even when it comes to the war in Ukraine.
That we will not fight somebody else's war if they're not actually defending their own territory either. The first accomplishment that I hope to deliver in my foreign policy agenda as U.S. President will therefore be to end the Ukraine war on terms that advance American interests. I refuse to use our own military resources to defend against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should be using our own military to defend against the invasion across our own southern border in this country, the United States of America.
He also wants America to have more spine when it comes to dealing with China.
We will re-enter the CPTPP trade relationships with Japan, South Korea, India, Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Australia, even bring it around, Brazil, much of South America, Central America. That puts me in a position to sit across the table from Xi Jinping, and he will know that I mean it when I say that we're cutting the cord unless you dramatically reform. No more IP theft, no more data theft, no more turning our companies into pawns to lobby here as a condition for them being able to do business in China. We're cutting the cord. You will not buy land in this country if you're affiliated with the CCP. You will not donate to a university in this country. A U.S. business will not expand into China unless and until the CCP meets our demands or falls. He will know that I mean it because it's going to be a lot harder for them than it is for us. That's what I think we need in our foreign policy, more of a spine. A little more Churchill, a little less Chamberlain in our foreign policy, and it is when you are most willing to make a sacrifice that we will not have to make one at all. That's the way I'm going to lead us. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Vivek Ramaswamy also claims a stronger US-India relationship could help America declare independence from China.
So I think a stronger U.S.-India relationship could help the U.S. declare independence from China. The U.S. is economically dependent on China today, but with a stronger relationship with India, it becomes easier to declare independence from that Chinese relationship. I think the U.S. should also have a stronger strategic relationship with India, including even a military relationship in the Andaman Sea, knowing that India, if necessary, could block the Malacca Strait, where actually China gets most of its Middle Eastern oil supplies through. So these are areas for real improvement in the U.S.-India relationship. I think that would be good for the U.S., and that's exactly why I would lead accordingly.
Vivek Ramaswamy's appearance on the GOP poll's opening presidential primary debate immediately translated into noticeable support and media attention. Within the first hour, his campaign reported an impressive fundraising achievement, amassing more than $450,000 with an average donation of $38. Despite a non-political background, this surge in financial backing shows that his reputation is among a dedicated base of supporters. His debate gelled with audiences according to a post-debate poll. Among 504 respondents, 28% of them identified Ramaswamy as the standout candidate. This places him ahead of seasoned contenders like Ron DeSantis and even former Vice President Mike Pence. And amidst Donald Trump's growing legal battles, Ramaswamy's fresh voice has captured the attention of those who once rallied under the banner of the former president.
On one hand, we're a country that will spend hundreds of billions of dollars, send military equipment, even covertly send U.S. troops to fight against the evil anti-democratic forces abroad in places like Ukraine, against anti-democratic Russia and Vladimir Putin. On the other hand, we're unwilling to take a long, hard look in the mirror ourselves. Imagine if there was another country where there's a democratically elected party in power that then uses police force to arrest its political opponents in the middle of an election. By the way, using a century-old law called the Espionage Act that literally was passed to criminalize dissent in the middle of World War I a century ago.
While Vivek Ramaswamy's popularity is soaring with each passing day, he seems to be warming up for the long haul. Whether he gets a realistic shot at the presidential race is still unclear, but he has certainly caught the imagination of a vast portion of America.